My friends are my power. Let's go, let's go, let's go.
My neck, my back, my pussy and my crack. Long ago, the four nations lived in harmony. Then, everything changed when the 30s attacked. Welcome, nerds, to a new episode of Nerd Explosion, the weekly podcast where based on a monthly theme, we nerd out about what we want. I'm Cameron, and to the left of me is Confused.
I have a question for you. Am I not turtley enough for the Turtle Club?
No, you're not.
Oh, okay. Fucking hurt my feelings right out the gate.
We are continuing our, underrated, guilty pleasure, whatever we want to call it. Basically, I've just kind of given up at this point, and it's just movies that, are genuinely bad, but hey, we like them. And today's episode is about a little-known movie that I believe, at least I personally think, has a cult following. Master of Disguise from 2002. What do you remember of this movie? Or I should ask first, I guess, have you seen this movie?
Yeah, I've seen it a couple times.
At least a couple times?
Yeah.
Did you like it?
Yeah.
I liked it too. And that is what we are discussing today. That is English I just tried to speak. And, contrary to other episodes, I'm just going to dive right in. New episodes of this podcast come out every Saturday. You know the drill, blah, 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 link in the description, suck me off or whatever.
Oh my God.
Anyway, let's talk about Master of Disguise. So, going off of Wikipedia, The Master of Disguise is a 2002 American adventure comedy film directed by I cannot speak English today. Directed by production designer Perry Adeland Blake in his sole directorial effort. I like that they say, instead of directorial role, directorial effort.
I mean, the movie was not well received, so...
Written by Dana Carvey and Harris Goldberg and produced by Sid Gaines, Alex Siskin, Barry Bernardi, and Todd Garner. The film stars Dana Carvey, Brett Spinner, Jennifer Esposito, Harold Gold, and James Brolin. Now, a little thing I didn't know about James Brolin, because I knew the last name sounded familiar. I'm like, wait, that Josh Brolin? I guess I didn't know that James Brolin was his dad. So James Brolin, father of Josh Brolin, who some might know as Thanos in the Avengers.
I'm familiar with his work.
Master of Disguise tells the story of a man who is trained to become a Master of Disguise by his grandfather when a master criminal kidnaps his parents. Produced by Revolution Studios, The Master of Disguise was released by Sony Pictures Releasing in the United States on August 2nd, 2002. The film received overwhelmingly negative reviews, with many critics deeming it among the worst films ever made. Despite its panning,
it was tragically bad, but it was so funny.
Despite its panning, it grossed $43.4 million on a $16 million budget.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I was just saying, I mean, despite it doing bad, it at least made some money. And one thing I did notice too, because I just watched this literally yesterday for this episode, it was also produced by Happy Madison. Mm-hmm. Which, for those of you that don't know, Happy Madison is a film production company that was founded by Adam Sandler. Because, I mean, obviously in naming it, he combined both Happy Gilmore and Billy Madison to Happy Madison Production, which Happy Madison themselves has produced some not so great movies. It has a good one every once in a while, but overall, a lot of the movies aren't that great. Some of them are obviously they didn't do well critically, but some of their movies are beloved, oldies, of course, Happy Gilmore, Billy Madison, a lot of older Adam Sandler movies. Mm-hmm. But I went into their filmography. The most recent one they're put out is actually this year, and it's Kind of Pregnant. That is the most recent thing they put out.
Kind of Pregnant?
Kind of Pregnant. You know who's the main character in that one?
Who?
Amy Schumer. I had to go on a rant about Amy Schumer. And,
She's just not funny.
like, literally, like, I saw a bunch of clips of, like, her comedy specials. When most of your jokes boil down to, my vagina, like, come on.
Right.
Like, we did it. You're a woman.
Although my favorite joke is not about... Never mind. I was going to go off on a tangent, and then I decided it's not worth it because it'll only be funny to me.
Shall we go over the plot, or at least what Wikipedia has?
Sure.
In 1979, Palermo, Italy, Fabrizio Disguisi, the latest in a long line of secret agents known as the Masters of Disguise, breaks up a smuggling ring run by the evil Devlin Bowman while disguised as Bo Derek.
Can I interject?
Real quick, for those of you that don't know, Bo Derek she was in a drama called Once Upon a Love. She was a sex icon in like the 80s or like very early 80s. Basically a lot, and you know, she was really popular in the 80s. But anyway, what were you going to say?
Can you run that last name by me one more time of the movie?
Fabrizio Disguisi?
Yeah. The last name being Disguisi, you should have known what you were getting into.
Well, you got to remember too, this movie came out in 2002.
Also that.
And it was a, quote, family movie, end quote. And the very heavy quotes on family.
Yeah.
Disguised as Bo Derek. Not wanting his infant son Pistachio to receive
I forgot his name was Pistachio.
Not wanting his infant son Pistachio to receive the same dangerous future lifestyle as he and his lineage, Fabrizio decides to keep his family's nature a secret. Where are you going?
I dropped my phone.
I just looked over. You're just bent underneath your microphone. You're just like, 23 years later, Fabrizio runs an Italian restaurant in an unnamed town in America with his wife and son, Pistachio. Released from prison 3 years earlier, Bowman and his henchmen kidnap Fabrizio and his wife, forcing Fabrizio to use his talents to steal legendary artifacts around the world to re-establish Bowman's smuggling ring. After Fabrizio's disappearance, Pistachio is visited by his grandfather, who reveals Pistachio's heritage and begins training him. I'm going to be a master at disguise. Pistachio gets the basics down, and his grandfather gets him an assistant, Jennifer Baker, who is a little confused about what the job entails. The two find one of Bowman's cigars in the alley where his parents were kidnapped, which leads them to the Turtle Club, where it was made, and they learn of Bowman's scheme, as well as that he will be at an antiques fair the next day. I think the Turtle Club is the one scene a lot of people know from this movie. Even people who haven't seen the movie, they know.
Enough for the
Am I not turtle enough for the Turtle Club? Turtle. Which, you know, it's a fun fact to learn.
So dumb, but it fucking kills me every time.
Pistachio and Jennifer go to the fair, with Pistachio disguised as an elderly woman. That woman is named Gammy Numnums. Put some respect.
Don't you ever disrespect Gammy in my presence.
The name's Debbie Numnums. Listen here, Backstreet Boy. This is one girl scout that's not content to be the Malcolm in your middle. Let's see. Pistachio and Jennifer go to the fair. Pistachio decides an elderly woman. Bowman invites Jennifer to a party at his house. Pistachio goes to the party in disguise and distracts Bowman while Jennifer looks for clues. That night, Pistachio and Jennifer look through the clues. Bowman's men kidnap Jennifer, so Pistachio talks to his grandfather via a crystal ball and comes up with a scheme to break into Bowman's lair to rescue Jennifer and his parents. They confront Bowman, who has attached a mask of his face to Fabrizio's head. While the real Bowman escapes, Pistachio fights his father, who is brainwashed to think he is Bowman. In the end, Pistachio helps his father snap out of his trance, and they free Pistachio's mother and return the artifacts. Pistachio marries Jennifer and becomes an official master of disguise. However, they eventually realize that Bowman still got away and has the United States Constitution with him. The disguises locate Bowman in Costa Rica, defeat him in their disguises, and retrieve the Constitution.
Mm-hmm.
And that's basically it. So, backing up here, obviously Pistachio is played by Dana Carvey, and I can't remember if this is the first movie I ever saw Dana Carvey in, or if Wayne's World was the first movie I saw him in.
Wayne's World was the first movie I saw him in.
I think it might have been Wayne's World, and then obviously I recognized him in this. Let's see. Oh, I should go to my notes, because I took notes throughout the entire movie. My first one being, the fact that it's a Happy Madison production, which I was all kind of blown away by. The other thing I have in my notes is Pistachio's dad being kidnapped kind of just happens way too quick. Because literally, it's just like they do a scene, he talks with Pistachio or whatever, because Pistachio's kind of a screw up. And then there's a night scene, he's taking empty boxes. You named
your kid Pistachio, what did you expect?
He takes these empty pizza boxes out to a dumpster, and all of a sudden Bowman and his men just kind of grab him and take off. And
good kidnapping has to be done quickly.
There's rambling from...
otherwise you leave witnesses.
There's rambling from Pistachio. He's got this really weird Italian accent, and he's just running around the house looking for his parents, and he's like the place, it is full of ransackary. And then he's calling the police, and he has a cannoli that his mom made. He's like oh, there is ransackary everywhere. Oh, Mama's cannoli is here. Listen. And then you hear somebody on the phone. Don't call again. Don't call again. This movie is it's bad, but there are plenty of moments in it that I was just like, stuff still made me chuckle.
It made me giggle.
The one thing I remember from this movie is Devlin Bowman. He had a thing with his character where he would laugh because he's a villain, whatever, but his laugh would immediately be cut off by a fart. I do remember that. You remember that? Which
I may physically be a 30-year-old woman, but mentally I am a 12-year-old boy.
And don't get me wrong, I do think fart jokes can be funny too, but in this movie, it just kind of it quickly stops being funny after the
lose
first time.
Its flair after the second or third fart.
Because it's the first time, sure, it's funny, but then that joke repeats at least 5 or 6 times throughout the rest of the movie. And it just stops being funny over time. But anyway, I want to talk about the Turtle Club scene, because there is a rumor spread around the internet about this particular scene, that the Turtle Club scene was filmed during 9/11.
Oh.
And what actually happened, and I found this on IMDb, is apparently, they were filming this movie a little bit after the events. It happened, they took some time off from filming, and then they came back. So it didn't happen on 9/11, it happened around. To read off this quote that I found, after surfacing in the trivia section of the Master of Disguise's IMDb page, the supposed incident circulated for years on social media. Referencing a tweet about the rumor, co-host David Spade asked Carvey to clarify whether he was, quote, shooting actively on the morning of the terrorist attack, and if he first heard the news while dressed, quote, in your turtle outfit. What happened was they obfuscated it, Carvey replied. I was in the costume all that day, and then they said we're going to have a group prayer about 9/11. And I couldn't get the thing. I would have held everyone for a half hour getting all that prosthetic makeup off. So as I remember it, everyone else was wearing civilian clothes. I'm dressed as a turtle man with a bald head, and I'm holding hands and lowering my head and praying. And I just thought at the moment, this is very strange. So they had a group prayer for 9/11 while he was dressed as the turtle.
That's
while he was dressed as Turtle Man.
Very sad and touching that they had a moment of prayer or whatever, but also iconic that he's in his turtle costume.
I mean, I get it, because with all that makeup, can you imagine having to everybody's all right, we're gonna have a moment of silence for 9/11, and he has to be hold on, let me take all this makeup off first and hold everyone else up.
Yeah,
props to him to be fuck it, I'll just do it now.
Yeah.
This is kind of fucked up. Can you imagine? They have their moment of silence, and then when it's done, somebody's like, all right, thank you all. He's just quietly to himself, he's just turtle. Am I not turtly enough for the Turtle Club?
What did
do harm to you?
What are your
terrible turtle harm? Another thing I put in my notes is, the guards of the artifact in this movie are the biggest fucking idiots ever. Letting a trash jar and Governor Jesse Ventura just leave the U.S. Constitution and the Liberty Bell. Because obviously when Devlin, kidnaps Fabrizio, he has him disguised as stuff. So first he has him disguised as... I forget the guy's name. It's something Johnson, but apparently he was like a famous track star to steal the U.S. Constitution. And then the next one, where Bowen makes Fabrizio steal the Liberty Bell, but he has Fabrizio disguise himself as Jesse Ventura. And they refer to him as governor, so at that time,
Governor?
Jesse Ventura was still governor of Minnesota. Which is weird because like he gave one of the guards like an action figure.
For everybody who just is listening, mouth agape, Jesse the Body Ventura was a governor of Minnesota for a time.
Big wrestler in the WWF, and I guess no, I don't think he's current commentator. I know they had him back for like the premiere of Saturday Night Main Event, which I don't know how much WWE is going to keep that up, but hey, whatever. Apparently, they put him in the newest game. Like he's part of a DLC pack. And I'm like, oh shit. Playing a wrestling game and playing as Jesse Ventura in 2025 is wild.
Did not have that on my bingo card.
I think he still does stuff with Minnesota government. Because there's been some political things with Minnesota government, like with Governor Tim Walz and everything, that I've seen where he's in the background, so he's still involved in some way. But anyway, this ain't about politics. This is about a shitty movie from 2002.
A shitty movie that we both adore.
And then, yeah, later down the line, with other disguises, Devlin also wants the lunar module from the Apollo landing. So he has Fabrizio disguise himself as Jessica Simpson.
Jessica Simpson.
And I mean, obviously with it being 2002, all these people, these celebrities have to be in the movie. So like it's actually Jesse Ventura playing himself, quote unquote, and Jessica Simpson playing herself, quote unquote. But I'm like, yeah, I just put in there like the guards are just biggest fucking idiots. They're like, oh sure, this thing that's a part of American history, I'll just give it to pop star Jessica Simpson in exchange for some CDs. Like, my God.
Hey man, CDs were all the rage back then.
I put, also in my notes, I put, Gammy Num Nums is still my favorite part of this movie. Probably the only good part of this movie. I will say, out of any scene, like, obviously the Turtle Club scene is good. Gammy Num Nums is probably one of the ones that still makes me laugh to this day. Or like when, him and, what was her name?
Jessica?
Yeah. When they were at the antique thing, whatever. And she just whispers to Pistachio. She's like, that's him. That's Devlin. And then as Gammy, he looks at Devlin and he's like, well, you're a tall drink of water and I just love moisture.
Gross.
So Devlin and Jessica are talking, right? And, they're setting up the thing for the party or whatever. And Gammy just keeps interjecting. And he's like, yeah, so I'm having this party later. And then Gammy we don't want to go anywhere with you, Melonhead.
It's so funny because he's so horrifically bad at his job, but he just like kind of bumbles into success anyway.
My other favorite interjection, just they're talking and he just comes in, we're never gonna make babies. It's so stupid.
It's like nobody fucking asked.
Well, yeah, because he's got to play up the part because, he's disguised. He's Gammy Num Nums. Oh, I suppose we'll touch on that. So, from what you remember of the movie, any of the disguises that Pistachio had, do you have any favorites? Any ones that stick out to you?
I loved his Bush impression.
Oh, as Bush right at the end. Yeah, just at the end, they follow him. They track Devlin to Costa Rica. And in order to get the Constitution back, Pistachio disguises himself as George W. Bush.
My friends call me W.
He it's like, Mr. President, it's good to meet you. Friends around, people around here call me W, but you can call me King George.
You can call me King George. Like, for what?
I think my favorite one's obviously the turtle, Gammy Num Nums, Terry Suave. Because there's the part where, at the party, so first at the party he disguises himself. I forget I don't think I've ever seen the name of the disguise he uses, but it's like a kind of like a Tony Montana type of thing. Mm-hmm. Where he's talking to the hors d'oeuvre guy and he's like, "You got a little wiener, some Sunday nuts." That guy.
Yeah.
And then obviously Devlin, gets pissed off with this guy, so he sends his henchman to get him. And then, they run after him and they get to this like little pond or whatever. And the henchmen are like, "Hey, like old guy, have you seen anybody run through here?" And it's Pistachio disguised as like a reference to Jaws. Mm-hmm. The guy where he's like, "Dark-haired guy run in the water. Shark in the water.
Shark in the water."
I think I have the quote in here. 29 kids go in the water. 22 kids come out of the water. Ice cream man, he take the rest. Yeah.
Insinuating abduction.
Terry Suave is another one of my favorite disguises in the movie, and it actually was responsible for a TikTok audio that went around. It was popular for a while. The one where he's like, "This is what you're doing. This is what I want you to do. Any questions?"
Did you just tell me to shut up?
Yes, you touch on straight away. Oh, I actually have that in my notes too. Literally, I was like, "This is what you're doing. This is what I want you to do." I suppose before I go through the rest of my notes, anything you want to say about the movie? Anything that stands out to you?
No, I covered everything I wanted to.
You don't have much to say on this movie, do you?
It's been a minute since I've seen it. I remember it, but I don't remember it in vivid detail.
I mean, we could watch it later. We still have to figure out dinner. We could just watch it. It's literally a short movie. Like, I got
First of all, bold of you to assume that I don't have a plan for dinner.
I was say, what's the runtime? 80 minutes. So
I'll see how you disrespect me.
It's barely over an hour. And it's like, it feels way shorter because of how, kind of crappy it is. But yeah, going through my notes, sorry, this is kind of scatterbrained. I'm just like skimming through stuff. Because there's not much to talk about this movie without being like, see it for yourself. It's a bad movie. I put one thing that kind of bugs me is the fact that in the confrontation, with his dad at the end, because Devlin Bowman has the plan to. Initially, he planned to have Fabrizio completely like disguised and brainwashed as himself, so that he could kill Fabrizio, who looks like Devlin, and then just get away, just be on the run. But he inside this. Jesus Christ, I can't talk today. Fucking shoot me in the face. So Devlin changes his plan. He runs away with the Constitution, right? And leaves Pistachio's dad. Well, he leaves Fabrizio brainwashed as Devlin to try and kill the rest of the disguises. So in the confrontation, Pistachio is trying to turn his father back to, into his dad. Trying to, unbrainwash him. I put one thing that kind of bugs me is the fact that in the confrontation with his dad, who was brainwashed, he says, "Take that mask off your face," and then proceeds to not take a mask off. Mm-hmm. So what Pistachio does, because this is a thing in the beginning of the movie where I guess he was playing around and, he would disguise himself. He would have a shaven cream beard with underwear on his head. And apparently that was a thing he did a lot as a child. So obviously in the confrontation, he decides to put his underwear on his head to try to speak to his father. So when he does that, Fabrizio Devlin was like, "Take that underwear off your head," and then Pistachio's like, "Take that mask off your face," and then he just shakes his head a few times, and he turns back into himself. I'm like, okay, why would you say take that mask off your face and then have no mask for him to take off? I don't know if that's a continuity error, but that's just something that like bugged me for some reason. Also, one thing I forgot about that I kind of wanted to talk about. Mm-hmm. They did a backstory type of deal when they introduced Pistachio to show he's always been weird.
To show he's always been weird.
The narrator, which I think is the grandfather, actually, the narrator says that like he always had a thing with impressions. Mm-hmm. Like they obviously show when he was born and as the baby, fresh out of the womb, he slaps the doctor a few times. Mm-hmm. He's like, "You slap me, I slap you." But then it goes to like elementary. When the narrator is like, he always had a habit of impersonating people. And it's in a science class, and the science teacher's like, "Add the copper sulfate," and then it shows him, Pistachio as a kid, imitating him. Mm-hmm. And apparently, those kids, I didn't realize until I rewatched it, were played by Dylan and Cole Sprouse.
Oh, sick.
Like, literally them as kids. And I believe this might have been just before they did... I don't know. When was Sweet Life of Zack and Cody? Because it might have been around the same time. Well, this was 2002, because they were...
2005 to 2008.
Oh, so this was a few years before they did Sweet Life of Zack and Cody.
Yeah.
But yeah, I looked at that, I rewatched it, and I'm like, that's straight up the Sprouse twins. I did not know that. The final thing I put in my notes for this is the after credit scene is weird with the reveal of a tiny man in the slapping dummy who comes out looking like Mario. So back up, in the movie there's a slapping dummy to teach Pistachio like how to fight, because I guess instead of punching somebody, this guy's slap their opponents to humiliate them. But he does they have a thing with the slapping dummy which happens after the credits.
See, Alana's got me making that sound now every time I think about a slap or a hit.
So anyway, after the credits, Pistachio's sweeping up and he sees the slapping dummy turning around and he's all perplexed by it and he's like, what is this? So he opens it and there's this tiny man in there and he's like, what are you doing in the slapping dummy? And then the tiny man is just, a slap! And then starts chasing Pistachio around. Then he goes outside. Pistachio's chasing the man down into an alley, and then you hear a bunch of slaps, and all of a sudden Pistachio comes running out, and now the tiny man is chasing him. And he's like, I'm sorry, slapping dummy man. And then the tiny man is just like, I'll get you, Pistachio.
There's something so menacing about not being able to hear it, but just hearing like the feet slapping. just
nothing happens. You just hear and then it obviously they're chasing each other. It fades to black. And then when it fades back in, they're sitting together. Pistachio is telling them everything that happened. Mm-hmm. And, as he's telling them about it, he looks up at the viewer, because obviously this was, it was more so for people in the theater. Mm-hmm. He looks up into the camera and he's like, what are you still doing here? The movie is over. I'm trying to talk here.
What are you still doing? The movie's over.
Basically breaking the fourth wall and just telling the viewer hey, the movie's over, go. And what's even weirder about that is it fades off. And then once it's black, you just hear the slapping dummy man be like, Pistachio, I'm sad. And he's like, why? And he's like, I want to say goodbye. He's like, oh, okay, we fade up. And then fades back in, and they both, break the fourth wall again by waving at the viewer and being like, goodbye, whatever. And it's just, I don't know, that's Master of Disguise. It is not a great movie.
No, but it's all at the same time, fucking masterpiece.
It's just, yeah, it's overall, just, not a great movie, but it just, I don't know. It's full of chuckles.
For the time it came out, I think it did as well as it could have. If it came out today, it would have bombed.
It would have severely bombed. Oh, I love in the production, the only thing that it has in production is the fact about the 9/11 thing.
Oh. Yeah, because this movie was made in 2001.
Let's see. Film opened in Australia on July 31st, 2002, in the United States on August 22nd, 2002, and in the UK on January 17th, 2003. Let's see, it opened in 2,565 theaters and earned $12,554,650 in the domestic box office, ranking third for the weekend of, I'm assuming, January 17th, behind Signs and the second weekend of Austin Powers Goldmember.
Really?
Yeah, apparently it did almost as well as Austin Powers Goldmember. Which I don't think did super well either. I think it did better than this movie for sure, but I think it at least did better than, or Austin Powers did better than this movie. Let's see. Bo Derek's cameo in the film earned her a Golden Raspberry Award nomination for Worst Supporting Actress, but lost to Madonna in Die Another Day.
Oh, that's rough.
And
That's rough, buddy.
This is something I shared in the Kung Pao episode. As the 2002 Stinkers Bad Movie Awards, the film was nominated for Worst Picture, Worst Actor, and Worst Male Fake Accent, the latter two regarding Dana Carvey. Its only win was a tie with Kung Pao Enter the Fist for Most Painfully Unfunny Comedy.
That's rough, buddy.
Now, I will say, to be honest, if I had to put Kung Pao Enter the Fist and Master of Disguise side by side and be like, which do I think is funnier? I definitely have to say Kung Pao Enter the Fist is a little funnier.
Yeah.
Because Master of Disguise seems like, early 2000, like Nickelodeon humor, whereas Kung Pao Enter the Fist is just random bullshit humor.
Random bullshit.
And I like random bullshit humor rather than, hey kids, look at this funny thing. You know what I mean?
A solid impression.
Oh, sounded out here sounded like Krusty the Clown. I can't even do that laugh if I wanted to. Final thoughts, Master of Disguise?
Definitely not critically acclaimed, but a masterpiece in its own right.
Yeah, I looked on when I was doing it. I saw the Rotten Tomatoes store in the thing. 1%.
That's
their popcorn. What is it called? A popcornometer thing, which is obviously audience reviews. 37%. So audiences still think it's bad, but apparently not as bad as critics. Critics just fucking hated it.
Yeah, I can see why.
But no, Master of Disguise for me is it's one of those movies. I mean, like I said, so sorry if I'm repeating myself. It's not a great movie, but it's a good one. It has some chuckles. It reminds me of a simpler time. But I think with that being said, let us know what you think of Master of Disguise. Do you love it? Do you hate it? Let us know on social medias and whatnot. Link in the description. But that'll be this episode. Did you have fun, Caitlin? Did you have a good time?
I always have a good time.
That's good to hear. Next week on ABC Eyewitness. Next week on Dateline. But no, that'll be it for this
episode. Next week on Dateline.
Next week on Dateline. That'll be this episode. What are we going to talk about next week? Who the fuck knows at this point? We're just going to make it.
Kate joins you on next week's episode.
How very dare you.
I might be peeking.
You might be peeking.
I might be peeking.
Yeah, because we're moving out in a few months.
And we're moving out in... Hold on. Hold, please.
Do you like this little dive into our personal lives?
55 days, 12 hours, and 39 minutes.
Oh my god, you have it down to the minute.
I have a motherfucking countdown, bitch.
Of course you have it down to the minute.
Of course I have a countdown, bitch.
Anyway, with that, that'll be this episode. You know the drill. Drink your water, do positive things, or I swear to God, I will slap your booty. And that is both a promise and a threat. I've been Cameron.
I've been Kate.
And as always, we'll see you in the next one. Nerds out.